Chapter 38 Encountering a Midnight Spy. Walking in the pitch-black forest, Han Li heightened his senses. Ordinary humans wouldn't be able to clearly see the path in front of them, but for Han Li, it was as clear as day. Despite his advantage, Han Li continued to be cautious. His caution was not honed by hunting ferocious wild beasts, but rather developed into a habit by hiding from Dr. Mo. After the Seven Mysteries sect relocated to the Rainbow Celestial Mountains, the beasts and creatures inhabiting the mountains and forests were eradicated in order to ensure the safety of the sect members. In addition to the ferocious beasts, even normal wild animals, such as the venomous snakes, had been hunted and turned into food for the disciples. Han Li's vigilance was not a part of his natural personality. He had developed it after experiencing Dr. Mo's schemes so that he could prevent any unwanted dangers. The mountain's bone-chilling wind got stronger and stronger, giving off a shrill sound that caused his hair to stand on end. The distant Han Li, upon sensing the wind, hastened his pace as he stepped across the boundary that marked the edge of the forest. He lightly sighed. Walking alone in this pitch dark made his heart grow heavy. Han Li quickened his pace once more, increasing his stride in order to leave the forest as soon as possible. All of a sudden, a strong gust of wind blew towards him. After enduring the strong gust of wind, Han Li paused as if he had discovered something bizarre. He furrowed his brows and tilted his neck, as if he was trying to listen for something. Han Li's expression quickly turned serious. He heard the sound of footsteps echoing in the distance. Although the footsteps were extremely light and the owners of the footsteps were far away from him, Han Li could determine that there were two individuals rushing closer towards his direction. He lightly leapt away and hid himself in the forest next to the mountain path without making a single sound. There was a large tree about 30 meters away from the path. Han Li hid himself behind the tree, curling himself into a ball. If one were to examine the tree from the front, he or she would not be able to find any traces of Han Li. It was only after finding a good hiding spot that Han Li gradually began to calm down. This time, Han Li was not being overly sensitive. There was something truly strange going on. It was highly illogical for two people to prowl around a remote location in the middle of the night. Han Li was 80% positive that the two mysterious figures were hiding something fishy up their sleeves. Han Li did not want the mysterious figures to kill him for discovering their secret, even if he did so by accident. However, if there were no dangers facing Han Li, then there would be no problem for him to eavesdrop on their secrets. Han Li was no hypocrite. He merely understood that if good fortune delivered itself to his doorstep, he would be a fool not to take advantage of it. Descending the mountains. Arrange well, time, people, commander. Waves of low-sounding voices drifted over from far away. At this moment, the mountain wind was blowing extremely strongly. As a result, most of the words had been scattered by the wind, leaving only a small portion of the conversation that made its way into Han Li's ears. Han Li was astounded to think that he had managed to discover a portion of their secret. In this region, the only person with the title of commander was the Golden Wolf Jia Tianlong from the Feral Wolf Gang. This person had great enmity with the Seven Mysteries sect. Now that Han Li had heard his name in this remote location, it provided much food for thought. Jia Tianlong was a ruthless, blood-drinking demonic figure in the eyes of the Seven Mysteries sect's disciples. Rumors told that he was a broad-shouldered man with a fat waist, long teeth, and a livid face. He supposedly ate human flesh and drank human blood 3 times a day. Many of the Seven Mysteries sect's junior disciples were frightened out of their wits just by hearing the rumors of such a devilish figure. However, according to Li Feiyu, the rumors were far from the truth. Contrary to the rumors, Jia Tianlong was skinny and weak with exquisite facial features. He was quite young, in his early 30s. The rumors regarding how he ruthlessly killed people, however, were true. Jia Tianlong could not be judged by his appearance. After all, based on his facial features alone, no one would expect him to be able to control the other members of the gang. Han Li gathered his thoughts as he tried to remember all that he knew about Jia Tianlong. Sucking in a cold breath, he curled up even tighter, trying to lower the sound of his breathing. This time. Steal, list of names, kill. Another part of the conversation drifted over, clearer than before. The two mysterious figures were getting closer and closer to Han Li. Han Li did not even dare to breathe loudly. He knew that if he were to be discovered now, only death would await him. The two of them were likely spies from the Feral Wolf gang, and they would definitely not let an outsider know of their secret plan. Must not quickly. Gradually, the voices of these two mysterious figures got even lower. It seemed like they had reached the crux of their discussion, which meant that they were about to reveal the most crucial information. After a short moment, the voices got louder again, but Han Li could not hear them clearly. He could only hear the sound of the mountain wind blowing through. The outlines of these two mysterious figures passed by Han Li and gradually disappeared into the distance. Han Li still did not dare to make any movements for a long period of time. Only after activating the Eternal Spring Arts and determining that there was no one near him in a 30-meter radius did he slowly reveal himself. This time around, he had avoided certain death. Luckily for him, he managed to discover the movements of these two spies early on. If Han Li had met them face to face, he would surely have been killed to protect their secret. Even worse, based on his own martial skills, he did not even have a single shred of hope that he would survive such a confrontation. Han Li stood motionlessly at the same location. Lost in his thoughts, his fingers lightly rubbed his chin while he gazed at the direction where the two spies had disappeared. From the fragments of the secret conversation he heard, he could gauge that in the near future, the Feral Wolf gang would undertake some action that would prove greatly detrimental to the Seven Mystery Sect. There was a high probability that this action would have a close connection with the list of names that was previously mentioned. What surprised him the most was that Han Li had already identified the identity of one of the figures despite of not being able to see their facial features. Even though the two mysterious figures had not spoken much, Han Li could match one of their low voices to the kitchen steward on the mountain of the Seven Mystery Sect. The steward, who had sold rabbits to Han Li back then, gave him a low impression. He had a mustache and an ignorant face, and he loved to take advantage of others. To think that he was actually a spy from the Feral Wolf gang once again reminded Han Li that one could never be too cautious. But reflecting back upon it, this was something to be expected. Only with a position such as a kitchen steward could a spy been able to enter and leave the mountains and pass along any news that he or she had obtained without arousing any suspicions.